What is going on, guys? Today we are looking at inform Lukaku. He has got a rule breaker that is one rated higher. In the review, we're going to have a look at him, have a look at the comparison, go through pretty much all of his stats and what sort of gameplay is all about. He is coming in at 82k on the PlayStation and 99 on the Xbox. That is due to drop a heavy amount during rewards this morning. And obviously a fun fact, we have got Lukaku down for the very few players to score 50 goals in the Premier League before he turns 23. The question is he worth the cost? Is he going to enhance your team? Personally, I don't think the Foot Champs team, but maybe a Serie A team, he might actually do a bit of damage. The question of today is, do you run a Serie A team as your main team, or do you have one in reserve for icon swaps? Let me know down below. Make sure you like and subscribe. So we have Lukaku here. He is a 4-star weak foot, 3-star skiller. He is left-footed with the medium work rates. Again, he's got the unique body type. I think it's broken on Footbin for some reason, because it seems to be the 3 people that I've chosen have not got that. I don't understand. I'd say he's a relatively tall, stocky build. He is 6'3", so quite a big striker. Obviously, he has come from Manchester United. Before that, it was Everton, and before that, I don't know, we'll have a look at the generations, but he is getting on a little bit. I say he's getting on a bit. I thought he was older. He's only 27, I suppose. But it is, in terms of football, not too far away from... Well, I suppose he's got a good 6 years, but you know what I mean. He's been around the circuit a little bit. He's been on a few different clubs, so we'll have a look at the generation and see where he began, where he started his FIFA career in terms of Ultimate Team. In terms of strengths, we're looking mainly at the finishing. We're looking at the strength of him. We are also looking at his heading ability. Being a tall striker, not necessarily got the greatest acceleration. We pretty much know that with a lot of people. But being the stocky build, we know he's got the strength. He's got the kind of physicality of him, which is hilarious that 96 strength is the only good stat that he's got in the physicals. Stamina is a low 74. Jumping isn't great, but again, he's already 6'3". It's quite a big strike to have, and he will more than likely muscle his way into the ball, going for corners, going for headed goals that are crossed in, and he will 9 times out of 10 probably hit the target from a good cross. Aggression wise, 72. I don't particularly need that too much. I need him to be able to hold the ball up. I personally like aggression on my kind of like defensive mids, maybe even a cam to an extent, and my centre backs and right back, left backs. I don't really need it too much on the striker. It is always handy. I'll never turn it down, but I think strength is more important with a big striker, especially someone that's going to be holding the ball up. I want the strength more than the aggression. And I think the main weakness, you've got acceleration, like I've already mentioned with the stamina, and then obviously you also have the agility balance. Balance is coming in at 47 and agility is 62. It's very, very low for a player. Personally, being 6'3", I always kind of excuse it to an extent, but he is a little bit slow on that movement. He's not the quickest person to kind of dip even out. But if you give him the ball to feet, you can lay it off to somebody else. He will hold that ball up really, really well, especially if you are kind of like in the attacking part of the game. You want to be laying him off, you want to be getting the ball across to him on his head, or you want to be kind of like holding it up and getting your fast striker or wingers to run off him, and that is an absolute perfect game plan for him. So if we look at some gameplay with him, we played a bit of rivals with him, thought, you know what, let's give him a go. We did come up against a silver team to start with obviously a couple of golds in there. Did manage to put the 3 subs on for some reason, mainly team of the week silvers. When I say a silver team nowadays, we have got a lot of informs in there, and we can see a lot of the chances. We get a lovely finesse there. He has got a cracking shot on him, and when I mean this sort of player, normally you kind of get that slow player but great finishing. I call it kind of like the Berbatov, someone who's not necessarily the quickest on the pitch, but in terms of finishing is absolutely sublime, and Lukaku is by no means an exception. He has got a wonderful finesse on him, really, really nice finish, great handling of the ball. We see him kind of just running through, does hit the post a couple of times, which is always kind of expected at some point on a FIFA game, and I think overall was a nice player. Is he going to enhance your team? Probably not. I think in terms of Lukaku, he's going to be one of them players you either get untradeable or you probably just pick him up for a cheap price and sell him on. I don't see him enhancing too much of your team at all, really. So looking at Lukaku's generation, I completely forgot that he started his career on FIFA at Chelsea, then managing to go for, I think it was a loan move to West Brom, because then he went to Chelsea again, back in FIFA 14, then moved to Everton, is where he's kind of started and really kind of flourished a lot more. Managed to get himself his first man of the match, second technical inform in FIFA 15, and then it kind of went from there. Managed to get a team of the season, international man of the match for Belgium, which he is the top goal scorer now, another man of the match. He then got another team of the season, and that FIFA 17 was absolutely class. A team of the season 94 Lukaku was amazing, and I think that was a player of the month, I want to say. Obviously getting an ultimate scream as well. Then he goes ahead and goes and gets a Man U footies 96 Lukaku. Absolutely incredible stuff. Straight after getting a team of the season with a few informs, a very nice season for him at Manchester United, which is where he transferred in the summer. He then went ahead and got a FUT birthday, which was a centre-back version. Personally never really got along with that, didn't really see too much of the point, but it was a fun card. I enjoyed the promo, something a bit different. We then got obviously a couple more informs, and then he went to Inter Milan, where I think in FIFA 19 he kind of not necessarily flopped in terms of himself, but mainly the team in general really wasn't having a good time back then, and probably still not to an extent now. But then he moved to Inter and absolutely smashed it. 2 European man of the matches, 4 team of the weeks, a 1 to watch that goes up to a 90, a 95 team of the season. He has had a wonderful start to the Serie A, and obviously this year already getting in form, as well as getting a kind of non-performance based promo with the rule breakers. It's an interesting kind of fact. There's so many different cards that you can get. Lukaku will have a few this year, and I think he's going to be a high rated card by the end of it. Will he be ever a FUT Champs player though? I don't think his animations and his kind of stats and his build will allow him to be the most meta striker that goes into a FUT Champs team, or even is kind of like that option to have. I feel like he's going to be icon swaps. He's going to be some rivals for maybe a fun team with a Serie A. If Mertens gets a big upgrade and he's already a 90, then obviously a nice partnership there. But is he going to go really far? Probably not in the game. Hopefully in his career he does really well and continues, but I just think there is obviously that kind of limitation with FIFA. And in terms of his rule breakers, we have a plus 11 dribbling on his rule breaker, minus 5 on the physical, a pace increase, no shooting, 1 defending, 2 passing. Is it worth 200k more? Probably not. I feel like the dribbling is nice, but the animations are still the same. Still not necessarily the quickest mover on the ball. Just because you give him 95 agility, you give him 85 balance, he's still going to be a stocky build, a tall player, and the animations are going to be the same. So for me, saving yourself, if you have to pick a Lukaku, I would go with the inform. Obviously go for it when he's in rewards, or even go for Black Friday. I think that probably is the move, just because there's going to be so many packs opened. I feel like that will be the better move for you, and get him for a lot cheaper and really no difference of a player. In terms of links then, the one thing I really like is that Inter Milan have so many specials already. We've got Ericsson, we have got Hakimi 1 to watch, Vidal 1 to watch, 9 goal and rule breaker, we've got Perisic road to the final. There is already so many just on one team. It is going to be absolutely class going into it to find a full Italian or full Inter Milan special squad. Very, very interested to see all that transpire. Belgium, you've got Hazard, De Bruyne, you've got Mertens as a rule breaker, Witsel as a flashback. You also have, I think there was one more, Danae Carrasco. Carrasco's an inform this week as well, someone who we did actually link Lukaku up with. So it's a nice like kind of combination between Serie A, Inter Milan, Belgium. There's a lot of links for him. Belgium is a nice team, not necessarily the most meta team in a whole, but definitely can have a really good team going forward. And kind of like just to finish off with the review, personally, he's a good player in terms of real life. FIFA wise, like I say, he doesn't transpire too much. He's not really kind of represented well in FIFA because it is a game. It's a specific game where the criteria matches, you're absolutely class. If you don't, you're kind of just fodder. And unfortunately for Lukaku, being very tall, very tall I suppose, 6'3" is very tall. Not necessarily the greatest pace, good shooting, Strength is good. Agility, balance, not amazing because he's not 5'5" and can run around everybody. He's not going to be the most meta player in the world. But overall, I enjoy Lukaku. I think he's a good player. I've given him a 7 out of 10. I think he's well worth a Serie A pickup. But in terms of foot champs, definitely go for somebody else. I've personally gone with very similar players, with Lewandowski's Player of the Month and Benzema's in form. Two big players, not necessarily the greatest acceleration, but shooting is absolutely on point. Personally, if I was looking at the Serie A, Mertens is a cracking choice if you're looking to go for another striker that kind of, not necessarily again is meta, but is more meta in the sense of what we've kind of created to be the meta. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. We have got more informs coming out after rewards, after I've finished work, so stay tuned for all of that. Like and subscribe, and see you all for the next one. Peace.